Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I'm deeply grateful. I was a little afraid when you all stood. I thought you were leaving. The very first speech that I made when I arrived here as ambassador was to JNS a year and a half ago. So today, before I got here, I did something that I thought was very important. I checked President Trump's social media to make sure this was not my last speech in Israel. As you know, he typically fires people in the middle of the night by way of social media, so I wanted to make sure that there was a reason for me to come. I'm happy to report that so far, so good. I know there's been an enormous level of anxiety about the relationship between the United States and Israel. It's been one of those weeks where we're all reading things and saying, okay, yeah. Here's what I would just ask you to put in large print and underline it. I would say it this way. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The one thing that the president has said as consistently as any man has ever said anything is that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, that Iran will never have enriched uranium, that Iran is not going to be able to continue flowing its support to its proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, and that the United States and Israel have an unbreakable bond. And it really is still true today. There is no world leader that the president speaks to more than he does Prime Minister Netanyahu. Theirs is a relationship that is not just as two statesmen. It is deeply personal to the point that there is a candor between them that is probably unlike his relationship with anyone else. The president says things to people, and he says things to the world. But the one thing that I've always heard him say, always, and that I've always watched him do, is that America has an unbreakable bond with the state of Israel. And I trust that he means what he says. I still remember that he is the president that did something that we all wanted every president to do, and that's recognize Jerusalem as the undivided, indispensable, eternal, and indigenous capital of the Jewish people, and he did it. To recognize the Golan Heights as sovereign territory of the state of Israel for its own protection. To move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, which he did, and I'm grateful for that. I'm so very thrilled to see the extraordinary video about Jerusalem and to hear the remarks of Mayor Moshe Leon. I don't just call him the mayor of Jerusalem. I love to call him my mayor because I live here. And he has been a remarkable partner to the U.S. Embassy and to every need that we have had, and a terrific person to be leading this city. And by the way, it is a remarkable city, and nothing like it in the world. Last year, I was back in Washington after the 12-day war with the Prime Minister and for the meetings we had with the President and the U.S. team. And while I was there, on two different occasions, I got surrounded by these pro-Hamas crazy people. One started out as two ladies. It ended up being about 20 people surrounding me, yelling and screaming, and it was really getting close to a little uncomfortable. Finally, some D.C. police officers came and extracted me. A couple of nights later, I was leaving the Blair House, where there was a reception, and some same pro-Hamas crazy people across the street recognized me. And that's not all it's cracked up to be. And they started screaming and yelling, and finally, Senator Jim Lankford of Oklahoma had a car coming. I was waiting on an Uber. And he said, just get in my car. I'm not sure you're going to make it till the Uber gets here. Thank the Lord for him. So he got me out of there, and I told some of my friends later, I said, I can't wait to get out of this crazy town and get back to Jerusalem where I feel safe. Now, the interesting thing is, they did what you did. They laughed, and they thought it was a punchline. I said, I'm not kidding. I really am anxious to get out of this crazy town and get back to Jerusalem because I feel safe there. And I do. And I'm grateful to live in this remarkable city and to have the opportunity to represent the United States of America. And I've watched, and I know there's anxiety, but folks, I have watched last year in the 12-day war when everyone wondered, what will the president do? Will he engage? And then on that Saturday night when the B-2 bombers roared from the U.S. all the way to Fordow and nuclear deposits and laid down bombs the likes of which the world had not seen, we know what he would do. Earlier this year, when it became apparent that the Iranians were intent on rebuilding their nuclear capacity and continuing what has been a 47-year threat against us. When I say us, I mean you and the United States. It's always been death to Israel, death to America. I was married with children in 1979, and I remember quite well when our embassy employees in Tehran were blindfolded and frog-marched across the grounds of our U.S. embassy, humiliating the United States of America, holding hostages for 444 days. And all that time, making it very clear that their intention was not merely to hold some American diplomats hostage, but was to kill every last American and annihilate the country. And the warm-up act was going to be to annihilate Israel. It's always been a threat. Americans may not understand it, but that threat is not a threat just to Israel. It is a threat to every American, and they have carried out that threat in pieces throughout these 47 years by killing hundreds of Americans, often through their proxies. And the most of them have been Hezbollah. And I hope that no one will ever think for a moment that the reason that Iran wants to maintain some control over the proxies is because that's how it's going to get its terror network capable of doing the most damage that it can. Let's be clear. The Iranian threat is best served when the spigot is turned off at the source and no more forces flow to Hezbollah, to Hamas, or the Houthis. And that's why this challenge with Iran, if we can get peace, wonderful. But even this afternoon, the president has issued very clear understandings to the Iranians that if they think that the United States is going to fold and collapse and let them have their way, he has made it clear what he will do. And what he said, well, it's words that I don't use those words, folks, even in private and certainly not in public. This week I got into a little bit of controversy unintentionally because I said something that I've been saying for years. It wasn't anything new, but I made the point, and I want to make it with you. One of the reasons that our nations are tied together is because it is upon the Jewish foundation that Christianity was formed, and upon the Jewish and Judeo-Christian foundation, Western civilization was formed, and without that, there would not be an America. It is as simple as that. I had people excoriating me from around the world saying, how dare you say it? I would say, how dare you flunked history? Are you not aware that our founders wanted to put as the seal of America the parting of the Red Sea? That in the House of Representatives in the United States, there is a marble fixture of Moses. not of Cicero, not of Aristotle or Plato, of Moses. Because our history is tied more to Mount Sinai than it is to Athens or Rome. It's tied to neither of them. It's tied to Israel. The 3,800-year continuity of the Jewish people from the time God said to Abraham, I'm going to make you a great people, and through you the world will be blessed. When our founders understood, they understood it in such a way that even in our Declaration of Independence, we made very clear that our rights don't come from government, they come from God. They come from the Creator. And where did they get that notion? They got it all the way back to this very city in Jerusalem. They got it clearly from the time of an unbroken history of the Jewish people having been connected to God and being a light to the world. And I want there to be no misunderstanding. Americans, whether they understand it or not, need to be grateful to God for the Jewish people and the foundation upon which freedom and the sanctity of the individual was founded, because that is what separates our values from the values of totalitarianism and dictatorship. I want no part of that. I like freedom, and the heart, the soul, and the genesis of that came from right here in this land. Let us never be apologetic for it. Psalm 121 says, I look to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord. When people say Israel will be destroyed, I'm thinking they don't understand, do they? That this is not into the hands of any man or any country or any army on this earth. This land is in the hands of the Creator of the universe. And my confidence in Israel's capacity, not only to be here, but to last and to stay, is not because we have a great military and because Israel has a great military. It's because all of us have a great God who has made a promise, and He will keep that promise. I noticed when I started there is a lady over here on the side, and she has a sign, and it says, stop. And in her other hand, there is a sword. I know what the sign means, and I think I know what the sword means. And with that, I will say, thank you, God bless you, and God bless the state of Israel.